done, but class programs we have done.
Static, non-static.
Yes, sir, we have not done that programs, but for the beginning of the classes and all calling and all, we have done that in lab.
Okay, got it. Shall we start? Comfortable? Static member functions also we have discussed. Static data member, and static member function. Object as argument, this pointer, inline, non-inline. Okay, let's see. So today what we will discuss? Today we will discuss about reference variable concept. Reference variable, default argument, function overloading. Okay, let's see. Reference variable. Note it, reference variable is an alias name or duplicate name given to a variable. Reference variable is an alias name or duplicate name given to a variable. Next you write, no separate memory is allocated to reference variable. No separate memory is allocated to reference variable. No separate memory is allocated to reference variable. It is just a duplicate name. It is just a duplicate name. It is just a duplicate name. So any changes made by reference variable. So any changes made by reference variable. So any change made by reference variable also affects original variable. So any change syntax, okay, data type and reference variable name equals to existing Java variable. Example, int I equals to 10, int and j equals to I. So I is a location whose value is 10, j is just a duplicate name. If you write j equals to j plus 5, j minus 5 and C out I, what do you think? What will be the answer? Bolo, bolo, bolo. What will be the answer?
5. 5 minus
5. Because I and j are same memory location, not separate. Do you remember that function passed by value method? If you pass argument by value and you do any changes, whether it affects the original variable or it doesn't affect.
Doesn't affect.
Because locally you do the change. Okay, so let's go to the code screen immediately. You will apply this concept somewhere in the program, but right now we'll write a piece of code. Directly we'll do it. Function pass by reference method. Before that, I am also showing you that if this is void, so let's write here int k, and I'm writing k equals to k plus 5. Int I equals to 10, C out I, E and EL. After that, I will call the show method. In the show method, I will pass I as argument and I write I. This is passed by which method? Answer, passed by which method?
Value.
So I value is how much? 10. When you pass, output will be 10. When you show I, control goes to this. Now answer me, k is separately created or not created?
Separately created.
Then I value getting copied to this
Yes, sir.
function k equals to k plus 5. What will be the value of k?
15.
15. After that, when control returns C out I, what will be printed, 10 or 15?
10.
10 or 15?
15. 10. 10. 10.
Error, कहाँ पे error है मेरा? Line
12th
number
line.
12.
Sir, 12 line.
Output देखिए कितना होगा, 10, 10. Understood or not?
Yes, sir.
This is passed by which method?
Call by value.
Call by value method. There is also another method you have studied called call by address. Pass by address. If you pass the address of I, so I ampersand I, then who will receive? What will be the data type of k?
Pointer.
Pointer.
Point.
Then star k equals to star k plus this. So what is the diagram? I storing 10, address of I. This address is passed to k. K stores address of I. K is separately created or not created?
Separately created.
K is also having its own address. So add the addressable location of a k, do the change. Now what will be the answer? 10, 10 or 10, 15?
10, 15.
Yes, understood? Understood? You have already done this. Yes or not? This is passed by which method? Passed by address.
Call by reference.
No,
Or by
that is actually we have said reference, but it is actually an address. You are passing the address of operator, ampersand I, line number 13.
Yes,
Both
sir.
the examples understood. 10, 10, 10, 15. Okay. Now I am calling here. This is now k is the reference variable to I. K is the reference variable to I. It is the alias name or duplicate name of I. Okay, no separate memory, duplicate name of I. That means, okay, let's modify the code also, and let's write k equals to k plus 10. So I value 10. K is just a duplicate name. No separate memory is created. No separate memory is created. I value 10. Now answer me. What will be the answer of this code? Line number 12, line number 14. What will be the answer if you have understood really?
10, 20. 10, 20. 10, 20.
Yes, 10,
10, 20.
10, 20. Yes, but you have to understand at the memory level. If you are also able to achieve this task by using a pointer variable where you have passed the address. Now you are also getting the same task done. Any changes made by reference, it is also affecting to the original variable, triggering effect. But here, no separate memory is allocated. So in how many, someone will ask you, in how many ways you can pass a value to argument? Pass by value, address, and what? Reference. 3 ways you can pass argument to a function. Pass by value, pass by address, pass by reference. 3 ways. Okay? Got it? Let me share this code with you. Okay. Even if you can have this also directly. Code. Okay, this is the reference variable concept. Now from default argument. Okay, note it. Note लिखिए. A function can have default arguments. We'll study about function argument and function overloading. These 2 things only we'll discuss today. Then we'll stop. Default argument. A function can have default argument at the time of declaration. Please give attention, focus. जितना डिस्कस करेंगे, इन्वॉल्व रहेंगे, इजीली समझेंगे, कोई दिक्कत नहीं होगा.
Sir, please repeat.
Function can have default arguments. A function can have default arguments given at the time of declaration. Given at the time of declaration. The default arguments are to be assigned from right to left. The default argument values, the default argument values are to be assigned from right to left. Assigned from right to left. लिखे.
Yes, sir.
If user will not provide any explicit value, if user will not provide any explicit value, user will not provide any explicit value, but the function is having default arguments, but the function is having default arguments, but the function is having default arguments, is taken. Then the default argument is taken. Then the default argument is taken. लिखे?
Yes, sir. Yes.
But if user provides user defined value, but if user provides user defined value at the time of function call, but if user will provide user defined value at the time of function call, then user defined value is taken as a priority. Then user defined value is taken as priority. Example, if I write void show int k equals to 10 at the time of declaration. Okay. Even if you can define it here, whatever, C out k, you write. Now in the main method, if you call show method, now there is no argument. Okay, let's first do this. Now answer me whether this call is right or wrong, correct or error?
Error, sir. Error, sir.
Error. Error. You should pass how many minimum arguments?
One.
One.
One. But if it is having a default value, then this is correct. Even if user will not provide any value, then what will be the answer of this code? Okay.
One.
But if you provide user defined value 20, then though default value exists, what will be the output of this code?
20.
10 or 20?
20, sir.
20. Now, do you understand about the use of default argument or not? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I am giving you another example. Answer me. Int k, comma, float j equals to 2.5f. Okay. Now, if I call show method, question is how many minimum arguments I should give?
2.
Two.
Two.
One.
Two. Minimum.
One.
Minimum.
One.
Maximum.
2,
Two.
sir.
Two.
2.
Meaning, can I leave it blank at this point of time? No, no.
No, sir.
I have to
sir.
give one argument, 10. So 10 is considered to be an argument. Here, what will be the value of a j printed here? Default value?
2.5.
2.5. If you will give 4.5, then what will be taken?
4.5, sir.
4.5. Okay. Now, if you write here int k equals to 2. Now, how many minimum arguments in show method required?
0.
0. Yes or any doubt? समझ में आया कि नहीं बताओ? ठीक है? Got it?
Yes.
Got it? Yes. Minimum arguments. Okay. But you cannot write the important things. You cannot write like this. Now this is error. What is the origin of the error? Expecting a value. You cannot call a show function with like this a comma and a 3.4 f. इसे call नहीं कर पाए. Default values are to be assigned from where to where? Right to left. Leaving something, you cannot assign a value towards its left. आप लोग assign नहीं कर पाएंगे. ठीक है? So this is the use of default argument. Let's see. Piece of code. Void show int k okay. So 10. Int k equals to 20. Now what will be the answer of this code?
10.
And so
First answer, line number 11, answer will be what?
10.
10.
10,
Then answer will be what?
20.
20.
Huh? 20.
20, sir.
Yes. Let's execute. Output understood or not?
Yes, sir.
Float L. Whether is this syntax correct or wrong? Line number 5 is now correct or wrong?
Wrong.
Wrong.
Sir.
Yes.
Wrong, sir.
See, default argument missing parameter 2 of void show. But clearly लिख रहा है compiler. Default argument missing for parameter 2. Parameter 2 should be a value. You have to give a value. You cannot leave it blank. एक note लिखिए. A function can have all the arguments set to default values. A function can have all its arguments set to default values. A function can have all its arguments set to default values. Function can have all its arguments set to default values.
सर अगर हमने की असाइन नहीं किया उसके लिए आपने क्या बताया था उसमें एरर शो करेगा कि नहीं शो करेगा अगर हमने के में इंट के को में हमने कोई आर्गुमेंट मतलब कोई वैल्यू नहीं दिया तो
यहाँ पे
यस सर
it is correct. Right
Okay,
one is having a value, left one is having not value. This is correct. Then how many minimum arguments you should pass?
One.
sir.
One. अभी मुझे बताओ आंसर क्या दिखाएगा? So 10 मैंने कॉल किया, आंसर क्या दिखाएगा बताओ? अगर आप k और l को प्रिंट करोगे तो
10 and 3.5.
yes, 10 and 3.4. Okay, but if you assign a value equals to, अभी आंसर क्या दिखाएगा? 20 ना 10?
10 sir
10.
10 यूजर डिफाइंड वैल्यू की प्रायोरिटी ज्यादा. अभी क्या आंसर दिखाएगा? सो लाइन नंबर 12.
20 and 3.5
हाँ
23.5
23.5. नेक्स्ट लाइन नंबर 13 आंसर कितना दिखाएगा?
50 and
7.5.
अंडरस्टूड? अरे है कि नहीं?
Yes, sir.
Default values. So where default values are helpful? Now assume you are writing a program where you are writing assume rate of interest, principal, number of year, and a rate of interest equals to 7.5f. And you are calculating p into y into r divided by 100.0. You are calculating simple interest. If this is 7.5, then it is okay, default value. If you call a method with 100,000, 10,000, 2 years, then instead of 7.5, 8.5. Then what will be taken? 7.5 or 8.5?
0.5.
8.5. Default values will not be taken. Okay. But remember, all can have default value, but it has to be assigned from right to left. Leaving one in between, you cannot assign to its left. If a value is given to its left, means all its right must have a default value. That's the important thing. Okay. Okay. Now last concept for today's class. For this week, I have planned up to function overloading. We will discuss polymorphism. Poly, many forms. Poly means many. Morph means form. This is of two types. One is static or compile time, dynamic or runtime. Static example is function overloading. And operator overload. And this example is virtual function. Okay, लिखिए polymorphism is the property of OOP. OOP means object oriented programming. Polymorphism is the property of object oriented programming. Polymorphism is the property of object oriented programming of having two or more forms. Of having two or more forms. Diagram अगर आप लोग किए हुए हो, then it is of two types, static and dynamic, or compile time and run time. So we will study about the example.
Compile time के नीचे क्या लिखा हुआ है?
Static compile time. हाँ, static compile time and another is run time. हाँ बोलो.
Sir वो function dash function के आगे क्या लिखा हुआ है?
Overloading.
Okay.
Function overloading, operator overloading. Okay, लिखा है?
Yes.
लिखे कि नहीं? So we will discuss about function overloading. लिखिए. Function overloading is an example of static polymorphism. Function overloading is an example of static polymorphism. Is an example of static polymorphism और static binding भी बोलते हैं इसको. Static polymorphism और static function overloading is an example of static binding or static polymorphism. Yes. Next लिखिए what is it? When लिखिए when one function, when function is created, when function is created with same name and different argument lists. With same name but different argument lists. Same name but different argument lists. Same name but different argument lists. Then we say the function gets overloaded. Function is created with the same name, different argument lists. Obviously, you cannot create a function with the same name and the same argument list. Then we say function is overloaded. Function is created with the same name but different argument lists. Then we say the function gets overloaded. Okay. Let's see example. Can I write void so void? Again, can I write two functions, another function with void so void, completely same? Can I create?
No, sir.
No, sir.
It will lead to ambiguity, error. that it is not allowed, but you can create void so int. Now these two are same or different?
Different.
Different. Whenever you call so with no argument, first one called. You call so with one argument of integer type, second one. You can go on extending functions like this. Int char float, anything. You can add another function. Void so int comma char comma float. Likewise also you can write function overloading. Okay, so function has to be uniquely identified by the name and argument list. Name and argument list has to be different. Okay, so one question here once was asked. That question was int so something like this. Exact question may or may not be int so int void so int. Can these two functions be overloaded? Justify your answer. Yes or no?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yes or no? No.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Sir, return type is different.
The return type is different, but overloading rule says what?
Parameter list should be different.
Parameter should be different.
So whenever you call a function by name and argument list or by return type. Whenever
Name
you call
and
a function.
Name and
Name and argument list. So 50 will call to who? First one or second one? Both are matching. So this function can be overloaded or cannot be overloaded?
Cannot be.
Cannot be overloaded. Even if you change the return type, but function overloading rule says name and argument list has to be different so that compiler can uniquely identify. It can uniquely identify. That is the reason. Otherwise, it will lead to error. You cannot create it. Okay. So let's see how it is to be used. Function overloading. We have not written any class concept so far. We'll write class concept. No argument. I'm creating another function, void so.
Sir, the last example about int so and void so, is it the example of function overloading or not?
No. You cannot overload. Okay. Okay, got it. So function is overloaded 3 times. Understood or not? 3 functions understood or not? Void so void, void so what? Int, void so int comma float. Now these 3 function signatures are different or same?
Different.
Different. Let's call so with 10. And so with 50, 7.5. You know the answer. What will be the answer?
Yes.
Yes. Respectively, it is called or not? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Let me share the code. Okay, understood? Now I'm modifying the program. Let's add it. Up to this much is clear? Yes?
Sir, I had a doubt.
हाँ बोलो बोलो.
Sir, if in line number 13, sir, if we write float j equals to 7.5 f.
Yes, I'm coming to that. I will explain. I'm just about to explain that. But before that, up to this much is understood or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now this is called. Now now if I comment this line also, will it work? So void will call to which function? Which one is matching? Line number 5, 9, 13. Which one is matching?
5.
5. Output coming. No argument. Line number 21. Which one is matching?
15.
15.
30. Line number 20. Which one is matching?
9.
There is one match or more than one match available?
Sir,
For
more
line
than one.
More than one match.
More than one match. Whether this answer is understood by everybody? More than one match. Please participate. I will leave you quickly. Don't worry. This is the last concept to be discussed. Understood or not? Line number 20. There are two matches. कौन सा match हो रहा है यहाँ पे? Line number 9.
9 and
9 and
13.
Yes. Error. Ambiguous error. Sometimes it is called ambiguity. Not syntactically you are correct. Syntactically you are having no error, but it leads to ambiguity because it is facing two matches. 2 times you are getting exact match. Which one to choose? Sometimes you go to a shopping mall, you look to two dresses. Okay, 2 dresses, all are same. Dress 1 is 1500 rupees, dress 2 is 1500 rupees. Color also you match. Both the colors also you like, both the brand you like. So you are in a confusion state, which one to purchase. Okay, so similarly compiler faces ambiguity, which one to accept. Okay, so please note on this. Okay, please rejoin. I will quickly do it in 5 minutes. We'll do it. Please rejoin for 5 minutes. While doing the function overloading, along with the use of default arguments, then care must be taken by the user, programmer. Care must be taken by the user.
Please repeat, sir.
While doing function overloading along with default arguments, care must be taken by the user. Care must be taken by the user. Care must be taken by the user to avoid ambiguity situation. Care must be taken by the user to avoid ambiguous situation or ambiguity situation. So आपको फंक्शन ओवरलोडिंग के ऊपर एक क्वेश्चन देता हूं. Meanwhile, please input your roll number in the chat box. Once only enter your roll number in the chat box. Question है overload area. To compute area of a circle. तो आप लोग क्या लिखेंगे? Void area float r 3.141 into r. Okay, फिर area of रेक्टेंगल, रेक्टेंगल के लिए कितना साइड चाहिए?
2.
आंसर क्या होता है उसका? A into B.
Yes.
हाँ, एरिया ऑफ रेक्टेंगल एंड एरिया ऑफ सर्कल। लेकिन मैंने क्वेश्चन और एक बार दे दिया, एरिया ऑफ फाइंड द एरिया ऑफ रेक्टेंगल, एरिया ऑफ सर्कल, एरिया ऑफ स्क्वायर ऑल्सो। स्क्वायर के लिए कितना साइड चाहिए?
1.
एक। ये दोनों मैच कर जा रहा है कि नहीं? सिग्नेचर फ्लोट फ्लोट,
Yes, sir.
एक ही फ्लोट।
Yes.
तो फिर आप कैसे करेंगे? जानबूझ के यहाँ पे एक डॉमी आर्ग्यूमेंट दीजिए, क्या और वाई। नाउ इट इज सेम और डिफरेंट?
Different.
डिफरेंट। तो आप जब भी एरिया को कॉल करेंगे, एरिया ऑफ सर्कल के लिए 3.142 whatever, you pass a value 5.5, this will be called। इसको कॉल करने के लिए आप क्या कॉल करेंगे? एरिया 6.5 कॉमा कैरेक्टर। इज देयर एनी वर्क ऑफ दिस कैरेक्टर? इसका कुछ काम है? नहीं है।
No.
इट इज जस्ट ए डमी, डमी टू जस्टिफाई टू सर्व योर पर्पस। ये आप लोगों को सोचना चाहिए, बस मैंने बोल दिया, ठीक है। Sometimes you may get while overloading that there is a situation where arguments are also same. Then how will you differentiate? You decide how you want to differentiate. या तो क्या को पहले रखिए, फ्लोट को बाद में रखिए, वैसे करिए, और कहीं से कुछ करिए। It has to be unique. Function overloading. Okay? It has to be unique. Means function name is the same and argument list has to be different. Okay, so that is the important and beauty. Name and argument list has to be different. Then you call accordingly, it is called. But remember, whenever you give default argument, care must be taken to avoid there must not be 2 or more matches. That is default argument concept along with overloading. What we studied also, we studied about the concept of reference variable, how it is helpful, pass by value, pass by address, pass by reference. In reference, it is just a duplicate name, no separate memory is allocated, same location, no memory extra allocated. Any changes made by reference or original variable, it affects to the other. Because sometimes best example of reference is we are having a reference name, nickname. Person is the same. We are having the one original name, we are also having a nickname. But person is the same. You call by nickname, you call by the original name, or call by our unique roll number name, alias name, another name, duplicate name given to us. We respond. If it is a different name, person is the same. Reference. Understood? Yes? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we completed up to this week, up to this concept. Next week we'll start with the private function and member function, friend function concepts next class onwards next week. If you are having any doubt, you can ping me. We can arrange a session tomorrow also. So far the discussion, if you're having any doubt. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
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 Have a happy weekend.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.